If you're looking to round out your stable of Foundry Virtual Tabletop modules, then you're in luck, because today we are going through the most popular modules for Foundry yet again in a special lightning round. Hey everyone, this is Zephyr, and welcome to the Battlemap channel, where we teach everyday GMs how to create truly amazing experiences for their players by combining art and technology. We also make modular systems and scenes that you can use without any setup. Some of which are going to be the backdrops for today's video on the top 25 most popular modules for FoundryVTT Special Lightning Round Edition. Obviously, there are a whole lot of amazing modules on this list, but not all of them have so much going on beneath the surface that we feel they need their own deep dive. And some of them we've actually already done deep dives on independent of this series. So today we're going to cover all of the modules that we haven't covered yet in the series with an overview of their functionality and some notes if there is additional features that you might want to know about, and then also direct you to those other series that we already have if there's a little bit more to them and they need that deep dive. Now, due to the nature of this conversation, we're going to be skipping around a little bit in terms of the order on the list. So as we discuss each of these modules, you can check on screen to see what position they are in the list, number 5 most popular, number 10 most popular, etc. And we'll be going through them in a more categorical framework here rather than by number on the list. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. First and foremost, let's talk about the big one. Sequencer is the number 3 most popular module for Foundry, and plenty of you have asked when and if we're going to be covering it in this series. For those who don't know, Sequencer adds a whole library of different tools and API hooks that you can use when writing macros for being able to sequence special effects. It's a really powerful toolkit, but it's kind of technical as the only real way to interact with Sequencer by itself is through macros. And it's also honestly almost used like a library module more than a standalone kind of technical module that you might use to expand your features. And for those reasons, we don't currently have any plans to do a dedicated deep dive on Sequencer. Since it's so technical, we would probably need quite the lengthy video series to get into it. However, we don't rule out the idea of covering this on its own, either as a single video or as a small series of videos, particularly if there is some kind of innovation that makes it more approachable for the average people who are not writing macros to dive in and engage with it more directly. Obviously, Sequencer is still a fantastic module, and many of the modules on this list require it in order to do their thing. So it's still 100% an amazing module and deserves to be on this list. Next up, we've got Drag Ruler. This module is for Foundry V12 and below, and this allows you to see how far you are moving when you are kind of hovering your token as you're clicking and dragging it to put it into position on combat, etc. And can even have some highlighting capabilities to show you when you've gone past your regular movement limits if your system supports that. It's a really handy feature, and it's so handy in fact that Foundry has incorporated it into its V13 core features. And so for that reason, we're not going to be doing a full deep dive on it, but it's still a very nice and useful module for folks playing on Foundry V12 and below. PopOut is a really great simple module that just lets you, on any of the sheets you might have in Foundry, simply click the PopOut button, and then it will pop out that window as a separate tab or window for you to use, and that way you can move it off to another screen without cluttering up Foundry. So it's really nice for kind of building your own little GM screen in a separate window from Foundry itself. The Universal Battlemap Importer module lets you use the .uvtt file format from mapping software such as Dungeon Draft, Dungeon Fog, and ArkenForge, and bring your maps into Foundry, complete with walls and lights all ready to go. It's very simple and easy to use. You simply use the importer widget to select your file, and it will bring it in that has your image and your walls and lights, etc., and it's all ready to go for you. It's super nice if you don't need a whole lot of extra fine-tuning control or you're not really putting together a bunch of pieces to make a map, you've already got it prepared in your other software. It's very nice and convenient for those who are wanting to get their maps into Foundry and get them in there quickly and easily. The torch module is a really nice and straightforward way to handle a lot of lighting options in your game. It adds a simple toggle to the token HUDs, or the token controls whenever you have a token highlighted, where you can turn on and off your light sources. And it comes with a variety of different system integrations so that it supports kind of the standard items that someone might have in their inventory for producing the different lights. You can choose whether or not this consumes uses in the inventory, or whether it even looks at the inventory at all, allowing players to use whatever kind of lighting they fancy. Quick Insert is a really helpful little quality of life module where you can use a hotkey, by default is Control Space, to bring up a search widget that you can use to find all kinds of things such as monsters to drag out onto your scene, or things to add to your journal entries, etc. So it's nice for being able to look through all of the different things that you might have available to you and throw them onto a scene nice and quickly rather than navigating through compendiums or folders to find your resources. It's also got some other nice features such as calculators, dice rolling, and the ability to control playlists from the Quick Insert widget. So it's a nice way to have some of those functions and search abilities just at your fingertips really nice and easily. And then we have Health Estimate. This is a fun module where users can hover over combatants or tokens and see how they're looking health-wise. This allows you to have kind of color-coded messages or statuses that will display on hover, indicating roughly how people are doing, whether they're completely uninjured, barely injured, or on death's door, etc. And you can specify the exact label terminology and the color coding, as well as some other features, whether it's only on during combat, or whether these things get put out to chat or not. So this is an easy way to incorporate that kind of instant feedback when a player is like, oh, how's that person looking? They can get a rough ballpark of about how injured or not an enemy combatant is by hovering over the token rather than you needing to go and check it specifically. So a nice little bit of extra utility for those combats. The next two modules that we're going to discuss will have installments in the Top 25 series, so they're going to have their own deep dives, but we'll still give a brief overview here today. Simple Calendar is the first of these, and it has a whole lot of timekeeping functionalities. It allows you to define your own calendar for your world or import one of the major ones from several different IPs and settings. And this will keep track of things such as lunar cycles, holidays, days of the week, days of the month and year, etc. On the back end, it also has a whole lot of utilities for other modules to tap into, allowing you to really sync things up to the passage of time in your game and having, say, a round last the appropriate amount of time, even though obviously real-time playing, it's going to be a lot longer than what the clock says. So a great module with a ton of utility for a variety of tables. One of the reasons we haven't covered it just yet is because it's not been updated for Foundry V13 yet. However, it is being worked on, and there is a sort of alternative available as a stand-in right now in the form of Seasons and Stars, but we have some information that that's going to be worked on more, and we may see a just regular simple calendar update for V13 in the very near future. And the second module that we're going to be covering in our overviews and will be included in its own deep dive is going to be Monk's TokenBar. This has a whole lot of different features, such as being able to see all of the tokens that are on the scene and really quickly assess their passive statistics and toggle things such as movement abilities, etc. And it also provides a lot of utility in the form of being able to request roles and then feeding that API for other modules, such as Monk's Active Tile Triggers, to give you all kinds of utility there. And now for the rest of the modules on the top 25 list, we either already have a dedicated episode for them in the series that you can check in the description below, or we've covered them in their own standalone videos and series, and we're going to go through those now. First and foremost, if you've spent any amount of time on the channel, you've probably seen at least one of our videos on automating Foundry with Monk's active tile triggers. This incredible module adds a lot of amazing utility to Foundry that allows you to turn every tile on your scene into its own kind of logic system or do-it-yourself kind of macro that allows you to have a lot of power and utility over your scenes. And we love it so much that we have an entire playlist dedicated to it. And you can see there's more than a few hours worth of Monk's active tile triggers content on the channel. So check that out if you want to learn more about all of the crazy things you can do with these tiles. Wall height, better roofs, and levels all go together like peanut butter and jelly, and they're all from Ripper. This is a suite of modules that we kind of refer to as the levels suite, or the building in 3 dimensions in 2D kind of pack for Foundry VTT. And we've had a few different videos over the years covering just how to build multi-leveled scenes in Foundry VTT. So we'll link the latest version of that on screen and also in the description down below. So check that out if you're interested in learning how to build these multi-leveled scenes in Foundry. Dynamic active effects, Midi-QoL, the D&D Beyond importer, automated animations, and JB2A all kind of fit into what we have called the ultimate D&D 5e automation suite that allows you to really streamline your combats in D&D 5e in Foundry, that allows you to really focus on the storytelling and the tactics and the planning of combat rather than all of the bookkeeping. And we've done a few different installments of the Ultimate Automation Suite tutorial. It also includes things such as the Cauldron of Plentiful Resources and Gambit's premates to round things out. And they're just part of a really amazing ecosystem for automating Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in Foundry. You can check out the most recent version of our Ultimate Automation Suite setup linked on screen now and also down in the description. We'll actually be updating this in just a couple of weeks with everything for Foundry V13, so keep a lookout for that when it arrives on the channel, and we'll also update those links here as well. It's also worth mentioning that we have had some specific videos that are just focusing on automated animations and JB2A, which you can check that out. That is completely system agnostic, so it's kind of a companion piece to the D&D 5e Ultimate Automation Suite, but you can check that out on the channel as well. Multilevel Tokens is a great module that allows some teleporting and also allows you to build multi-level scenes by having things kind of separated, where you can display what's going on in different areas of a map while having the levels set out kind of laterally or next to each other rather than stacked on top of each other with levels. We have some videos on MLT on the channel, though they are a little bit on the older side. We have personally over here since moved to using levels and Monk's active tile triggers exclusively for handling those multi-leveled scenes and teleports. But it's still a fantastic module that's now being maintained by Benio's Battlemaps. So check out that module if you want to learn more about it. Token Attacher is another module that we adored and we used quite heavily for a long time. It's a fantastic piece that allows you to attach things to tokens. It is what initially powered all of our prefabs that we used for being able to create deployable buildings and assets for maps to essentially create in Foundry map making. So there's a lot of videos on the channel. We have switched to using the Mass Edit module's linker feature for all of our prefabs and presets for our deployable assets. And we also have a lot of videos regarding that on the channel if you want to check out the way that we are doing those prefabs and presets today. Finally, we have Carousel Combat Tracker from Ripper. We really like this module, and you can see it featured in just about every single live play we've done. And we also mention it as an optional add-on module for that Ultimate Automation Suite that we discussed before. We've also done a dedicated video on it before, so we're not going to be reprising that in this series. It's a great visual quality of life module for your combats, and being able to see this just really beautiful tracker is super nice and super gorgeous in your games. So check out our video on the subject if you want to do a deep dive, or pick it up and play around for yourself. And that's going to wrap up today's lightning round overview of the top 25 most popular Foundry modules. Let us know if you think that any of these modules do need a deep dive, that there is a little more meat on the bone than this quick overview can handle, and we'll be happy to create those videos as needed. Again, we'll keep our eyes out for things with Sequencer to make it maybe a little more approachable for folks, but as it stands with it being so heavily technical, we're not currently looking at doing a dedicated series on that. That said, the documentation on Sequencer's website is really good if you're wanting to pick that up. Also, you can check out our other episodes in the series that are on the Dice So Nice, Dice Tray, FX Master, and Tokenizer modules, and we'll have those linked in the description. And if I have any cards left at this point, also on screen now as well. I have been Zephyr with the BaileyWiki channel, and if you enjoyed this video, then subscribe to keep up with all of our latest content, and consider becoming a patron. Not only do you support the channel, you also gain access to all of the modular systems and scenes that we've made for FoundryVTT, like the ones we've used in the background of the video here today. Once again, this has been Zephyr. Thank you so much for watching, happy gaming, and have a good one.